It was late. The kind of late where the world feels like it's holding its breath, and you're the only one still moving. I was driving through the heart of nowhere, miles from any town, any light, any sign of life. The rain had started hours ago, a relentless drumming sheet that blurred the edges of the empty highway. My headlights cut weak paths through the downpour, illuminating nothing but the slick, black asphalt ahead. On either side of the road stretched vast, unending fields. Not just fields, but cornfields, tall, dense, and utterly silent under the rain. In the darkness, the corn stalks looked like skeletal fingers reaching up towards the bruised, unseen sky. They swayed just slightly in the wind, a silent, unsettling dance. Then, without warning, my headlights flickered. Just a brief stutter, but enough to make my heart jump. I tapped the dashboard, hoping it was just a loose wire, a momentary glitch. But the flicker came again, longer this time. The engine coughed, a rough mechanical groan that sounded deeply unhappy. It sputtered, fought for a moment, and then went completely silent. My car coasted to a stop on the shoulder of the road. The only sounds left were the drumming rain and the sudden, overwhelming quiet of the night. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, the silence pressing in. The dashboard lights were dead. The engine was dead. My car was dead. A cold wave of panic washed over me. I was stranded, completely and utterly stranded, in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by darkness and those silent, swaying fields. I knew nothing about cars, absolutely nothing beyond putting gas in them and turning the key. But I had to try something, anything. I grabbed my phone, its screen a weak beacon in the oppressive dark. I needed to call for help, call a tow truck, call anyone. Stepping out of the car, the rain immediately soaked me. I used my phone's flashlight, a pathetic beam against the vast night, and cautiously approached the hood. I popped the latch and lifted the hood, shining the light onto the complicated mess of metal and wires within. It looked like a foreign language to me. Hopeless. My phone signal was non-existent. One bar maybe flickering in and out. Not enough to make a call. Not enough to even send a text. I was miles from anywhere, and my only connection to the outside world was useless. I needed a signal. I looked around, desperation clawing at me. The road stretched empty in both directions. The only thing nearby was the cornfield. Maybe, just maybe, if I walked a little way into the field, got away from the road, the signal would improve. It was a desperate thought, a stupid thought. Looking back now, I know it was the worst decision I ever made. I stepped off the asphalt and onto the muddy ground beside the field. The air here felt different, heavier, colder. The rain seemed to lessen slightly under the canopy of leaves, but the darkness intensified. I pushed aside the first few stalks and stepped into the rows. The corn immediately closed in around me, tall and dense, swallowing the weak beam of my phone's light. It was like stepping into a maze, a green, rustling wall on all sides. The stalks brushed against me as I walked, a dry, scraping sound that was unnerving in the silence. The claustrophobia was instant, a tight knot in my chest. I couldn't see the road anymore. Couldn't see the sky, just corn. My phone's flashlight flickered, the battery draining faster than I expected in the cold. Each flicker sent a jolt of fear through me. What if it died completely? The rustling of the corn seemed to grow louder, more insistent, not just from my own movement, but from somewhere else. A subtle shifting, a dry whisper of leaves that wasn't caused by the wind. Then I heard it. A faint scraping sound, like something dragging itself along the ground, just beyond the reach of my light. It was slow, deliberate. My breathing became ragged, shallow. I stopped walking, straining my ears over the sound of the rain and my own pounding heart. The scraping stopped. But the feeling didn't. The feeling of being watched. It was overwhelming, a prickling sensation on the back of my neck. The certainty that something was hidden in the darkness of the rows, observing me. I slowly raised my phone, sweeping the weak beam back and forth through the narrow gap between the stalks. The light danced over the green leaves, the brown earth, revealing nothing but more corn. Then, for just a fraction of a second, the light caught something else. Something dark, something that wasn't corn. It was low to the ground, hunched between the rows. My breath hitched. I swung the light back, but it was gone. Had I imagined it? My mind playing tricks in the dark? The scraping sound returned, closer this time, and with it, a new sound. A low guttural whisper, distorted and inhuman, seemed to slither through the rustling leaves. It wasn't words, just a horrible, wet sound that chilled me to the bone. I swung the light wildly, panic surging, and then I saw it again. A figure, shadowy and distorted, lurking just a few feet away. It was tall now, rising from the ground, impossibly thin, its shape wrong, not human. My flashlight beam caught a glimpse of something pale and slick, something that shouldn't be there. Features were obscured, lost in shadow and the flickering light, but the wrongness of it was undeniable. The scraping intensified, a frantic, tearing sound, accompanied by that awful, wet whisper. It was moving towards me, fast. I screamed, a raw, desperate sound that felt instantly swallowed by the dense walls of corn. My hand trembled, and the phone slipped from my grasp. The light went out. Darkness, absolute, suffocating darkness. The next thing I remember is the sudden glare of my car's headlights. I was back inside, slumped against the steering wheel, shaking uncontrollably. The engine was running. I have no memory of getting out of the cornfield, no memory of getting back to the car, no memory of starting the engine. It's just a terrifying blank space between the darkness in the corn and the sudden blinding light of my dashboard. My clothes were soaked. My hands were trembling so hard I could barely grip the wheel. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I just put the car in drive and sped away, tires spinning on the wet asphalt. I drove faster than I ever had before, watching the empty road ahead, the cornfields, a dark, menacing blur in my peripheral vision. I didn't care where I was going, just that I was getting away from there. Away from the silence, the rain, and what waited in the rows. Even now, miles away, safe in my own home, the feeling hasn't left me. The image is burned into my mind, the sound echoes in my ears. I remember the darkness. I remember the scraping. I remember the whisper. And I remember what was in the cornfield. So be careful out there. When you're driving late at night on those lonely roads and you see the field stretching out beside you, be careful if your car breaks down. Be careful if you're stranded. And whatever you do, no matter how desperate you are, don't go into the corn. Because some things are meant to stay hidden in the dark, and some things are waiting